Time. Let's do it. It's all done. And my pan is greased. Welcome to Public Pizza. Looks good. Okay, good. Good looking pizza. Welcome to Public Pizza. My name is Steve, and I'm going to show you how to make a pizza at home in your oven quickly and efficiently for just a little bit of money. How many times have you come home from work, too tired to cook, called a pizza man, $15 to $20 later, pizza shows up at your door, and life is good. Everyone's happy. We can do this at home. It's not difficult. It's fast, it's fun, and we don't need a fancy oven. We can use our oven, a regular kitchen oven. It's a lot of fun. In this video, first we're going to make a pizza by hand. Then we'll go ahead and make a pizza using a bread machine, for those of you who have bread machines or are thinking of getting one. It's great fun. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go right to our list of ingredients for Public Pizza. Topping our list is 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, 1 3/4 cups of water at 110 degrees, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of oil, between 4 and 5 cups of flour, and 1 teaspoon of pepper. First we'll make our sauce. Let's get started. I'm going to take 1 can of tomato sauce, a 15-ounce can, and tomato sauce, generic tomato sauce, not a spaghetti sauce or anything. Okay, and to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Okay, now when I buy my seasoning, I buy everything in quantity. I'll buy my Italian seasoning by the pound. A lot of fun. And then I'll put it into smaller containers and keep this in my cupboard, maybe freeze this. I have a freezer, so if I buy dried ingredients in large quantities, I'll freeze them. This will probably last me 2 years, but it's considerably less expensive if you buy it in quantity. So we've got in our Italian seasoning. Then I'm going to use garlic, and I'll use a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and I'll use some Tabasco sauce, and just put a bit in. If you like really hot, Tabasco sauce is salt. It's a salt and pepper combination, but it has a really nice zesty flavor for pizza sauce, and this is great. Stir that a bit. That's it. And I'll go ahead and put this on the stove. That's done. I'm going to just let this simmer for a minute. Then I'll let it cool. I want my sauce to be cool when I put it on my shell. So I'm just going to heat that just for a couple of minutes. 2 minutes on the stove, then shut the heat off and let it cool. And that's set. Okay, let's go to our yeast. Okay, we're done with our sauce. Now our yeast, I'm using 1 3/4 cups of water at a temperature of 110 degrees. Now I actually measure the temperature of the water with a candy thermometer. You can find these in any store. It's a nice thing to have. I'll put my water in the bowl. Remember, actually measure the temperature of the water with a candy thermometer. Okay, and I'll take 1 tablespoon of yeast. Now this is an active dry yeast, and I'll go ahead and sprinkle my yeast in, and that's it. That's ready to go. Now yeast, I buy my yeast in quantity in a 2-pound package. Yeast also comes in the small packets that you see in the store, usually 3 packets. You know, you buy them like this. These are about 40 cents each. This is $1.20, 40 cents a packet. The same amount, if you buy it in quantity, is 3.5 cents. 1 packet purchased in this quantity is 3.5 cents, 40 cents. So there's a really big cost savings. This keeps in your refrigerator I seal mine with a potato chip clothespin, put it in the inside door of the refrigerator. It keeps for a good long time, so that's great. We're going to let the yeast sit and just soak for 7 minutes. Been about 5 minutes and the yeast is blooming, blossoming, growing. We're proofing the yeast. We're proving that the yeast is in fact active and that it will work in our pizza. It looks great. You should actually see this, the yeast taking the water back and coming alive. It's set to go. We'll go ahead and add our honey, using honey as our sweetener, and 2 tablespoons. We could use sugar or molasses or brown sugar. I'll use honey. And I'll put in my salt. I'm using a 1.5 teaspoons of salt, which to me is a heaping teaspoon. Put in my oil. The oil is optional. If you're fat conscious, you don't need to use the oil. I'm using an olive oil. I could use a vegetable oil or any type of oil really. Put in my 2 teaspoons. And I like to put some pepper in my crust. Just a nice little trick. I'll just put some in. I'll use a 1/2 teaspoon, let's say. Just a small amount of pepper. Great. And I'll go ahead and mix that with my wooden spoon. I'm trying to dissolve the yeast, to dissolve the sugar, or excuse me, not the sugar, but the salt. I can actually feel the granules, and I'm trying to melt the salt in the warm water and mix the yeast thoroughly. And that's good. That's done. Okay. We'll start adding our flour. I'll add 1, 2 of my 4 to 5 cups of flour. And I'll go ahead and mix this a bit with my wooden spoon. I'll try and just wet everything so that I can use my electric beater and it won't fly all over. Okay, here we go with our beater. That looks good. Okay, we're done with our electric beater. What we've done now with the beater is we've mixed 2 of our 4 to 5 cups of flour in thoroughly. We've dissolved the yeast and we've mixed the yeast through about 40%, almost half of our batch. And that will help us when it comes time to kneading. That will cut down on the amount of kneading that we need to do. Half the function of the kneading is to mix the yeast thoroughly. And we have now mixed the yeast thoroughly through almost half of our batch. So let's go ahead and add our 1/3 cup of flour. And I'll just turn this in a bit with my spoon. And looking good. Okay, now we're going to just keep adding some flour. Let's add our 4th cup of flour, and I'll start working with this by hand. We're going to be doing our kneading here in a minute. I'll just mix this in by hand. Looks good. Okay, and I'm ready to put this out on the counter. I'll just rub on the inside of my bowl, and that pretty much cleans out the bowl. And we're ready to start forming a ball of dough for our kneading. Take some more flour. Now we have about 4.5 cups of flour, and we'll start kneading. And first I'm trying to just work this into a ball, a well-formed ball, and then we'll start our kneading. Try and get as much flour as I can into this, and it's a fast operation really. Okay, that's good. Now we'll begin our kneading. Try and get some more of this flour in. If you've never done any kneading, it's simple. It's a motion. It's a push, fold, turn, quarter of a turn. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Really simple. There's nothing to it. You can put your body into it, your force. You can really work it up. Push, fold, turn. Push, fold, turn. Really work it up. Or use your body mechanics. Just fall into the dough. Fall into the dough. You don't need to be a big person. I'm going to knead for 10 minutes. In fact, in my baking, I use a kitchen timer. 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to knead for 10 minutes. And it's just that simple. I'll go ahead and complete the kneading off camera. And when we come back, we'll put our dough into a bowl for its first rising. We're ready for our first rising. I'll go ahead and put some oil in my bowl, tiny bit, just to coat my dough. And I'll take my dough, which is now thoroughly kneaded, mix that around in the bowl a bit to coat the surface, and I'm going to let this now just sit and rise. I'm going to let the dough rise for about 40 minutes or until it doubles in size. This is our first and only rising. We'll be going through one rising with our pizza dough. This isn't bread, so we won't have two risings. This is time-lapse photography. I'm taking one shot, 1 second, about every 60 seconds. It's fun to watch the rising. We're getting a good fast rising because we soaked our yeast. We activated our yeast. Also, I'm in Las Vegas. It's a nice warm day. It's warm.
A little tacky, but not sticky.
Heat is a catalyst. If you were in a cold place, let's say you were up in Canada in the middle of the winter, and the room where your dough was rising was not particularly warm, it would probably take a little longer. This is going great. It looks like it's just about set, and that's going to do it. We're all set to go. We'll punch down the dough. Look at that. Look at the yeast go.
Mushrooms.
And it's just that simple. And there we go.
And slowly.
Up to you, but I like a lot of sauce. Ready to come out. A lot of sauce, 15 ounces of sauce. This will probably last me 2 years. Beautiful pizza.
And that looks good, looking good.
It's looking good, looking good. This is all ready to slice. And sliced mushrooms. Beautiful pizza. Once you make these for a while, you'll get to be really good at it. And you'll be known for your pizzas. You know, people love to eat my pizza because they're delicious. It's fresh. You'll never get a hot pizza like this. I mean, it's just great. Just the way you like it. Right amount of everything.
Delicious homemade pizza. Couldn't buy that anywhere. Oh, boy.
That pizza even sounds good. It's hot. You can see the steam rising from it. It's delicious. You made it yourself.
There's nothing like fresh, hot pizza. This is so hot that it's very easy to burn the roof of your mouth. And I've done that many, many times. Delicious pizza. I like to cut my own cheese. I think it's no problem. If you find that your bottom is burning, you may have a problem. Done. It's just about done. Yep, that's it. That's it. Enjoy.
Enjoy. I have a whole series of cooking videos. I have videos on bread baking. I have videos on breakfast baking. All sorts of baking videos. Give them a try. Check it out.